Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Journey to Greatness with David McDonald, the GOAT. We're back for day 126 of 365. And today we feel, as always, very grateful to be here. This music player is not my friend right now. That's okay. Go ahead and set this. Be good. Alrighty. Good morning, Liz. Good morning, Lee. How's it going? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. All right, let's get to it. All righty. Good morning. Welcome back. Hey, Ashley. Good morning. Good morning. Hey, Jason. Good morning. Good morning. Brandon. What's up? Man, my eyes. Good morning. Good morning. So we're going to get on to or move to our reading routine on the journey today. I'm reading Think and Grow Rich. If you haven't read it, it's definitely one that I think that you should read. It's a wonderful book, very insightful, very inspiring, and I'm grateful to be here. So I'll see you guys on the other side. Mm. Fire. Alrighty. Welcome back. Welcome back. We have a little bit. We actually have. We're gonna have a little bit to talk about today at the end of our reading routine. But first, we're going to, or at the end of our journaling routine. But first, what we're gonna do is we're gonna get into our journaling routine. So, with that, okay, in the journaling routine is really good because what it allows us to do is it allows us to document and get things out of our heads. So a lot of the time we can forget or get so overwhelmed with all of the pressures of the world and of life where we forget to actually put it down in a journal. And actually, during those times of stress or high pressure or whatever it may be, for you to journal and document that, it's actually really beneficial because once you get past it, which you always will, it's always great to come back and read about the place that you came from, and then now you're here at the end in a better place. It's a good reflection point. So with that being said, I like to start off with writing about the things that I'm grateful for. The things in the morning that I'm most grateful for is waking up and having exceptional health. So then I reflect on yesterday's day, on how that went, and then I write down my plan for today and what I wish to achieve. So with that, I'll see you guys on the other side. All righty. Welcome back. Welcome back. That was beautiful. And what we do. Hey, Rodolfo. Good morning. Good morning. Buenos dias. Good morning, Mr. Hopkins. How's it going? One thing we do celebrate is when we run out of pens. So I'm actually a real-time like pen connoisseur. Like I love like pens a lot, but we just completed 2 more, so these will either go into the garbage or into our library. Anyway, so we have a couple things here actually. Yesterday I got a message from a buddy of mine who joins us on the journey to greatness. And good morning, Marcus. How's it going, bud? And let me see here. The exact question that was asked yesterday was, let's see. Give me a moment to access it here. Let me see. Okay, here we are. So the exact question that was asked yesterday was, so we were talking about the pastor in the book, and so he says, in search of millions of dollars, right? By the end of the week, the pastor achieved the $1 million by the end of the week that he was looking for. Many of us, I think, give ourselves ample time to reach our goals or desires, because at the time, it's the only way our minds can conceive the possibility of obtaining those goals. My question is, how do we go about sharpening our minds, belief, and faith to believing so intently that we can bring in $1 million to us in 7 days' time? So excellent question, and one that really, really defies the laws, because yesterday we had a huge revelation of understanding, because we said we have the ability to create or manifest a lot of money for ourselves in a short amount of time, right? If that's your goal. Now, we're also taught patience, right? So like, for example, me being in the real estate industry, people will say, oh, you haven't been in it for that long. You got to be patient. Your clientele, will build this, that, and the other, right? All right. But who's to say that we can't manifest a really strong beginning? Most people say, hey, it takes at least a year to close one deal when you first get into the industry. And most people say that 87% of agents quit within their first year and don't sell one house. So the whole philosophy or underground, the underground meaning here is that even though it's okay for us to be patient, and immediate gratification isn't always the best thing, i.e., doing bad things to get money, however we consider bad, or cheating people to get fast money, or whatever it may be, right? Immediate gratification isn't always the greatest thing, but then we challenge that respectfully and honestly by saying, well, how come we can't manifest a large amount of money for ourselves, or a goal to be attained in a shorter amount of time? Now, that's a good question, because, and how I responded was essentially, what you want to do is you want to start off slow. So, for example, for a while, like, let's say, this is just an example. So let's say, for example, I said I wanted to make $10,000 in a month, right? So for a long time, $10,000 was a lot of money. And in our previous sessions, we talked about scaling. Well, David, if I've never earned $10,000 in my life, how do I know what it feels like to make $10,000, right? Well, the first idea there is you've made $100 in your life. Everybody's made $100, right? That's that's at least 18, even 16, 15, whatever the age. Everybody's made $100. You take that feeling that you take the greatest moment when you received a $100 bill or a check, and you scale that idea to $10,000 or $1 million or $1 billion or $1 trillion, whatever number that you want. But what you do is you start on a small scale and you say, okay, well, for that example, I've always wanted to make $10,000 a month. So I make $10,000 a month, and then I do it again and again and again for 3, 4, 5 months. Let's say, for example, okay. So now I'm conditioned and I'm confident. I'm comfortable in my ability to make $10,000 a month. So now that I've made $10,000 a month, that's starting to feel like the norm. So then my imagination and my confidence takes me to the next place of transcendence to making $30,000 a month. So now I'm making $30,000 a month, and a year ago I would never. I thought about making 10,000, right? But now I'm making 30,000. It's starting to feel like a natural flow of routine. Now I'm making 50,000 in a month, and in 2 months I made $100,000. In a year I made $1 million. Now you're a millionaire. 1.5, 2 million, 10, 20, 100, and then boom. In a matter of 3 or 4 years, you could be 100 millionaire, easily. But the thing is the whole point of that is, how do you continuously brainwash yourself, or how do you continue to sharpen your mind? Sharpening your mind just consists of every single day telling yourself how great you are. I'm here telling you guys all, you are all magnificent people. You are all the greatest of all time, period. I'm the greatest of all time. I know that. And the way that you sharpen yourself is by not being around people who are negative. So if I'm talking to someone and they're gossiping or talking bad about someone or just have a negative vibe about themselves, there's something within me that starts to trigger and go off, and I just start to feel uncomfortable. Now, being uncomfortable is an excellent thing, but in that breath of, or that cloth of uncomfortability, I'll either remove myself, or I'll ask them, like if it's a client or a person or who have you, I'll just say, hey, I'm not really enjoying this space or the place that you're coming from right now. Can we change the subject, or can we change our intention? Because anything that feeds into that negative space can ultimately, at the end of the day, is gonna shake your energy flow. And it's a place for supporting doubt. It's a place for supporting negativity. And I always try to eliminate myself from that. And then sharpening yourself is like listening to motivational tapes. So Les Brown, Tony Robbins, who else? Napoleon Hill, who else? Jim Rohn. There's a lot of different people out there. Gary Vaynerchuk, reading books, podcasts. I mean, you constantly want to be bombarding yourself with messages of love, positivity, and self-confidence, self-growth. If you make that your routine for a year, I guarantee your life will change. If you make that your routine for 6 months, I can't guarantee it. But if you believe in it and it affects you to a place where it turns on a switch, then your life will change forever. And so when you get into that routine, we go back to what Napoleon Hill talks about. We start feeding our auto-suggestion box. That auto-suggestion box is now, because you've brainwashed yourself with all of this positive material, you've inhaled this material literally, and it's become a part of you. When people or when things happen to you, right, your auto-suggestion box is full with all this material of positive responses, of positive energy flow, and emotionally what that feels like within. And so your auto-suggestion box goes ding, and that thought comes into your mind, and then it surveys everything that's happening, all the messages, subliminal and intentional messages that are coming to you. And then, like a filter, that auto-suggestion box comes in front of you, message goes through the auto-suggestion box, you get it into your brain, you download it, and you're like, that's interesting. My auto-suggestion box is telling me to respond like X. My pride and my other genetic or social makeups are telling me to respond like this. And then at that moment, you have a choice. Think before you speak kind of thing. Think before you move kind of thing. And so you just become a lot more aware of how you're translating these messages that people are sending you and that you're receiving on a daily basis. And so that's the way that you sharpen yourself. And to turn on the switch is, truly, it's just a matter of repetition. So the more and more you do it, the more and more it becomes a fact within you, and then you start to materialize it. Journaling is an excellent way. Meditation is an excellent way, and reading is an excellent way. Who would have thought the journey to greatness, right? So it's definitely powerful stuff that we're doing here, because this is what we're doing. We're setting the foundation for the rest of our lives and for the year and the day to come. And when you start planning in terms of day, and then you start planning in terms of years, multiple years down the road, we're gonna find ourselves in a really good place. So the book talks about a couple things here, and I'm just gonna go through these very quickly. A couple of these things are so dear to my heart and so fact. A lot of people, the story of practically, every great fortune starts with the day when a creator of ideas and a seller of ideas get together and work in harmony. Carnegie surrounded himself with men who could do all that he could not do. Men who created ideas and men who put ideas into operation and made himself and the others fabulously rich. Millions of people go through life hoping for favorable breaks. Perhaps a favorable break can get one an opportunity, but the safest plan is to not depend on luck. If it was a favorable break that gave me my biggest opportunity of my life, but 25 years of determined effort had to be devoted to that opportunity before it became an asset. So, in other words, a lot of people and I experience this all the time. I'm a businessman. I like to do different businesses. Like, everybody knows what my primary focus is, but I like exploring other business opportunities. But I feel like a lot of people get hung up on their value. I'm a creator. So I'm going to create something today, right? You guys are all creators too. So anything that I am, you are. I'm a creator. Anything that I create today, I can create that 10 times over in a different way for the rest of my life. Or I can create that thing that many times over, infinite times over for the rest of my life. So there is no lack when you step into a business relationship, because you're just thinking to yourself, hey, you know how to do this. I have ideas. I know how to sell it. You have ideas. You know how to sell it. When we collaborate, there shouldn't be any lack there, right? Like, because at the end of the day, it's like, if I win, you win. And I feel like a lot of people are always looking at like, okay, what am I going to get out of it? What am I going to get out of it? And which you selfishly should. But at the same time, I feel like when we are able to conceptualize the idea of a bigger end, where we look at each individual step as just a simple stepping stone to get us to where we need to be, that one little simple stepping stone could simply be the big rock that you step on that allows you to conquer that space that you're operating in. But, we shouldn't depend on getting a break or or luck, to make it in this, in our journey. And the biggest, the one way that you counterbalance that, or what do you do if you don't depend on luck or opportunity, right? You get your journal and you start writing it out. So the journaling exercises, as we've talked about many, many times, is it helps you materialize your ideas into an actual fact, into a tangible item. So now you can touch and you can see your ideas down on paper, your ambitions, your dreams, everything that you wish to accomplish in a day's time, in a month's time, in a week's time, in a year's time, all of that. And then on to that point, we talked briefly about, referring back to that question, if you make $2,000 in a month or $3,000 as your salary, and you always wanted to make more, start small by saying, okay, I want to make double that, double whatever you're making. So if you want to make $4,000, make $4,000. If you want to make $6,000, you make $6,000. That's what you manifest. That's what you start writing down in your journal, how you're going to do it, by what time frame do you want to do it. That's the formula right there that Napoleon Hill has introduced to us. So never depend on breaks or good luck, and team up with people who share a similar vision, and you guys can make money together just like that. So ideas are intangible forces, but they have more power than the physical brains that give birth to them. that give birth to them. They have the power to live on after the brain that creates them has returned to dust. For example, take the power of Christianity that began with a simple idea born in the brain of Christ. Its chief tenet was, do unto others as you would have done unto you. Christ has gone back to the source from whence he came, but his idea goes marching on. Someday it may grow up and come into its own. Then it will have fulfilled Christ's deepest desire. The idea has been developing only 2,000 years. Give it time. Success requires no explanations. Failure permits no alibis. That's super duper duper powerful, especially considering the bigger picture. Your ideas will outlive you. Your creativity will outlive you, hopefully. At the end of the day, it's like, what are we here for? What are you here for? You know, what have you been set on this earth to do? That's a very cliche statement also, because some of us, or sometimes we can be confused to say, oh, well, we were put on this earth to do real estate, or we were put on this earth to do makeup and hair. That's not necessarily true. And you know that, or at least I can say I know that, because I think I was put on this earth to be an attorney, because that's been an ambition that I've wanted to do my entire life. Real estate just happened to jump into the picture. But real estate has a large number of variables, because when I was manifesting what I wanted to do back in 2015, I was very specific about what I wanted, which was helping people, mastering and learning contracts, negotiating and finance. I've done all of those, and that's what I do on a daily basis. I'm constantly crunching numbers for people. I'm constantly communicating and staying in contact with people, which I love. I'm constantly reading over contracts, and I'm constantly negotiating. And so when I segued over from banking and being self-employed, starting a technology company, when I wrote that perfect description of the business that I wanted to be in, those are my criteria. And then, of course, make a little bit of money. But those are my primary criteria. And so, among other things, my point here is, yeah, we may be set out to do certain things, and we may be really good at certain things, but who is to say that we shouldn't take the time to learn and master other creative arts or other creative profession? And I think that's the beautiful thing about life is, like, how much are you going to challenge yourself? The more that you challenge yourself, the more that you unlock about yourself by trying different things, is the stronger creator you become. And so with that, our ideas will live on, surpass us. And the most beautiful thing about that is you are able to write your manifest. You are able to create your ideas. You are able to manifest your ideas into reality and allow them to move on and live on for the rest of their lives. And you being named the master creator, and you being named the intelligent genius that created and started the idea of whatever you put your mind to. And I think that's a beautiful thing. That's a part of leaving legacy. And that is why, my friends, I am here doing the things that I'm doing, because at the end of the day, it's not only about me, it's about how much we can create together. And we'll talk about mindset groups tomorrow, which is what Napoleon Hill talked about today. And we'll get into that a little deeper. But until then, I love you guys so much. Thank you for joining me on day 126 with David McDonald, the GOAT, on the journey to greatness. If you wouldn't mind dropping in on the page, pressing the like button on the Facebook page, or making the request to join our private group, that would be awesome. That's all going to come in handy as we continue to build our community and we start community events where we all can get together and start having these mastermind groups, checking in with each other and having accountability partners, building new relationships and creating new opportunity of network for each other. So with that, I love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow at 5 a.m. Thank you to everybody who jumped on the message board this morning. I can't tell you how grateful and how happy I am to see everybody here and participating and being a part of this journey of growth. So I love you guys. Continue to build. Make today the greatest day of your life, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.